All right, welcome back to the show. Today, I want to talk about why are you playing small? And this has been inspired by Dan Martell. If you haven't heard of him, look him up. He's all over social media. I know he's got some coaching too. He's a software guy, but a killer entrepreneur. Has some great content, and I've been diving into his stuff a lot more lately too. In fact, he's coming to our LFG Mastermind. He's coming to our virtual event before our live event. So he will be speaking to our group, just our group, private room, virtually, but it will be pretty cool. And that will happen after the show airs. So I've been following him and kind of inspired by what he talks about. Seems like a lot of what he talks about is related to this, but playing small and why are you playing small? And a lot of things, some things, I guess, definitely hit home with myself and what I see in others too. But just want to kind of talk about it a little bit. Hopefully some of this is helpful. Maybe some of it, I may talk a little bit about what I've found in myself too, of, playing small or maybe not pushing myself to where I should be pushing myself, as well as others. But yeah, here we go. So one reason why you're playing small could because you don't want to show off, right? You don't want to show off to other people. And this is I guess a reel that I did, I think a couple of weeks ago on Facebook and Instagram, where people are afraid to kind of be more, do more, and kind of hide their wealth, which is, if you really think about it, kind of insane and an old way of thinking about things. Because if you're, I know for myself, anytime we go on vacation or wherever to a nice place, I get inspired by the architecture. I get inspired by the nice cars that are around, just the quality of living, whatever it is. I get inspired by seeing what other people have done, have built, are doing. I get inspired by that stuff. So if those people that did those things or bought those things didn't do that, I wouldn't be inspired and maybe not have done the show or maybe not have done other things in my life with real estate investing or anything else, and would have stopped me. And I'm sure that's true for a lot of people. So yeah, don't be afraid. Obviously there's a line of showing off and there's a line of doing something because you can, right? And we can use, for an example, buy an exotic car, right? If you can do it, do it. If you want to do it, right? I don't have an exotic car. I did just buy a 69 Camaro. It's amazing what type of, I guess, conversation piece it is, which I wasn't really seeing that before I bought it, or didn't see that coming. But it's amazing how many, thumbs up I get when I'm just driving around, how many people stop me and want to talk about it. It's amazing how many conversations are created by it. Supercar, nice car, whatever. Again, this is an example. You don't have to do it, but it's a conversation piece. And who knows where that conversation is going to go. I was actually just at a local flex space where they focus on having car owners, mostly I think exotic car owners, buy these flex spaces, and then they have events. And it's kind of like a country club built for car enthusiasts. I can't imagine the conversations that are going on there, right? And imagine if all those people were like, you know what? I'm not going to buy a supercar or a nice car, or classic car, whatever, a fun car, because I'm afraid of what, Joe and Sally next door or my family are going to think of me, right? So with all that said, you've got to push yourself, and whatever you're doing, buying whatever, if it's creative and it's positive, you're inspiring somebody somewhere, right? And that's really what it's all about. And hopefully that comes full circle in this conversation that I'm having here. But you're trying to inspire change in other people, while you're having fun with buying or doing whatever you're doing. I think a lot of people play small because they're afraid of the what ifs. What if I go broke? What if I start a side hustle and it doesn't work out? What if you name it, right? Just afraid of the possible outcome. But what we normally don't do, what all of us don't do, is think about the positive that could come out of it. We're so focused on the 1% of negative that could happen. What about the 99% that is positive that could possibly happen, right? Maybe you change your life that will also affect your future families, generations' lives. Maybe you make changes to where you affect your current family's life, or maybe your parents or siblings or friends or whatever, right? No one ever thinks about those things. Everyone just thinks about, well, if I take this risk, I could go bankrupt or I could lose money or whatever. We rarely think about the positive outcomes. So you gotta change your way of thinking there. Another one, and I can relate to this, is afraid to lose time freedom. That is one thing that I don't want to say is holding me back, but it's something that I'm very aware of, that I do not want to lose my time freedom. It's been a gold of mine for a decade. 5-ish years ago, I was able to get my time freedom, and I'm hanging on to that very tightly. I feel like I'm kind of walking that line the best I can, with doing as much as I can, growing, not only my business, but personally as well. But I do think hanging on to your time freedom too much can be a detriment. I'm sure there's been things that I've passed up on that, if I wasn't so focused on my time freedom, that wouldn't have happened. And obviously you've got to figure out what works for you. But another way to look at it is, and this is a Dan Martell thing, is if you're concerned about that or concerned about anything else, you're just not good enough yet. So if you're concerned that you're going to lose your time freedom, your systems and processes and people that you have just aren't that good enough yet. So focus on that, right? Focus on, and that's what I've been focusing on, making sure our systems and processes and people, which are the people are great on my team, but making sure the systems are dialed in, and whatever next step that I make, I continue with those so that I can keep my time freedom going forward. Another reason why I think people play small is because they don't know the next step, right? Whether that's, again, going back to, if you're new, trying to be a new entrepreneur, trying to get into a business in the real estate, whatever, you don't know where to start. And a lot of that comes with overeducating yourself, and then just sticking in, analysis paralysis and overeducating. But I definitely think that's why a lot of people play small, is because they don't know what the first step is, or the next step. A lot of times that is the first step. And a lot of times the first step is just taking action. I was talking to somebody, I think it was yesterday, about trying to coach others, like in this phase of where he's at in his business, talking about trying to coach newbies on how to get into real estate investing. And it's kind of hard to think back of when you were in that spot, if you're a seasoned investor, because it's like, I don't know what that mindset feels like anymore. That was 10, 12, 15 years ago. But I guess full circle, I kind of lost my train of thought there a little bit. But the biggest thing is taking action, right? Just take action, no matter what it is. And we were talking about single family rentals. And the biggest thing is, there's not a ton that you really need to learn in investing in single family rentals. The biggest thing is buying your first one, and hopefully at cash flows. If it breaks even, awesome. If you lose a little bit of money, great. It's probably the least amount of money that you will spend on education. The best education, especially in real estate investing, is buying your first single family rental. Fortunately for me, I was able to make money in my first one and made money every month. It wasn't a bunch, a few $100s a month. But it got me in the game. I just took action. That's the biggest thing, is just taking action, even if you don't know where the first or next step is. The other way you can do it is reverse engineer it. So wherever you want to get to, work backwards. And hopefully I don't botch this, but Dan Martell was talking about, actually it was Brandon Turner was talking about this. I guess there was this guy that Brandon ran into that he wasn't married yet. I think his life goal was to get married and have kids, family, all that, right? And Brandon was like, "Well, what's holding you back from that?" He was like, "Well, I need to get a haircut before I get on Tinder or dating app before I can start meeting people." So Brandon was like, "Okay." He asked a few leading questions, and then finally it boiled down to, "Okay, my first step is going to get a haircut. Once I then get a haircut, I can then, I guess, have the confidence or feel better, look better, and get your picture up on a dating app, and then get on that dating app, be active, go on dates, start meeting people, hopefully find the love of your life, have kids." But all of that goes back to the very first step of just getting a haircut, right? And that's taking action. Take action, no matter how big or small it is. Just take some type of action towards that goal. But reverse engineering that definitely helps. Another reason why people play small is staying comfortable, especially with 9 to 5s, right? And I think we're kind of taught this in school is, especially if you think about it, and I'm just kind of thinking live here, but if you think about it, in school, you're with 20, 25, 30 other classmates. Obviously, you're going to have people that learn better in school settings at the top of the class, and you're going to have people that learn differently at the bottom of the class. But the teacher has to find like a happy medium to teach. So for some kids, that teacher's teaching way too slow. So for some other kids, that teacher's teaching way too fast, right? For the kids that are, where the teacher's teaching way too slow, it's holding them back. And I think we kind of get comfortable in that mindset, and school definitely places us there. Now I'm thinking about that. But yeah, just being comfortable in general. As people like predictability. Somehow you got to figure your way out of that. I know with real estate investing, it is as predictable as you make it. Obviously, the more deals you do, the more predictable things become, especially when it becomes, for myself, and maybe this is, as I'm talking through this, maybe I need to venture outside of Ohio, but I'm very comfortable with my market in Ohio with self-storage because it's now predictable to me. It's a strength, but maybe it's also a weakness and hold me back. I don't know. Obviously, with staying comfortable, you're not getting better. It's going to hurt you from achieving your dreams, your goals, your visions, all that. And most importantly, and this is related to all this, staying comfortable and not pushing yourself, you won't impact family, friends, your kids, future generations positively, right? It's amazing how much opportunity we have today. And I'm sure I've talked about this before, but the opportunities that we have today, without a doubt, are easier than they have been in the past, right? I mean, our cell phones are mini supercomputers that we have in the palm of our hands. But most of us play Candy Crush, scroll Facebook, TikTok, whatever it is. Most of us are not using it as a weapon, as a tool to better ourselves, better our lives, better everyone around us too, right? That's employees, that's your kids, future generations. Most of us are not using it for that way. And then another reason why we play small is, or maybe a factor is, we just put things off till the timing is perfect. It's never going to be perfect. I think Ian and I talked about this a couple episodes ago, Ian Horowitz and I. It's never going to be perfect. If you've got a deal or an opportunity or an idea that's 70% of the way there, do it. Take action. Just do it. You're going to figure out the other 30%. It's going to work out one way or another. But even if it doesn't work out, it's amazing how much you learn along that path, so that the next thing that you do, you're able to get that down, and now you don't have to go through the pain or suffering that you may possibly go through. And really, when we're talking pain and suffering, it's not, I don't want to say it's not all that bad, but there are definitely worse things. To me, being stuck in a cubicle or a 9 to 5 until I'm 75 years old, another 40 plus years for me, or not 40 plus, 30 plus years for me, sounds absolutely awful. I don't want to do that. I would rather have failed business after failed business and figure it out along the way. than having someone else control my future. And actually, I've got a buddy going through, good friend of mine, going through this right now, to where he has a pretty good inclination that he's probably going to lose, their department is going to lose all their jobs basically beginning of next year. He's at the fork in the road, and he's been talking about being an entrepreneur for a while. And I'm excited for him, and hopefully he's going to do whatever's right for him. But he's at a fork in the road. Either find another job. He's built up his resume now. You know, it's a pretty strong resume. He could go find another job. Or does he want to put kind of his future in his own hands? And it's probably going to be a struggle for a while. It's probably going to be a grind for a while. But at the, fast forward 10 years from now, if he does that, guarantee his life will be better. I don't want to say in all regards because you never know, but should be better overall, right? Especially towards the path of the goals that he wants to get to. So that's really all I've got. But the main thing is, Martell's definitely inspired me. His whole not playing small thing. And we're all playing small, in my opinion, no matter what you're doing. In my opinion, Dan Martell's playing small. Why is it taken? I know he's been on social media and coaching for, I want to say 10, 15 years, something like that. Why am I just now diving into his stuff? How come I didn't find it 3 years ago? And I'm not calling him out in any way, but that just shows like we're all playing small in some way. How can we do more while keeping our core values, right? One of my biggest core values is my time freedom, especially with my family. I want to keep that time freedom. I want to continue making more money. I want to continue impacting as many lives positively as I possibly can. And I can't play small and accomplish those things. It's not possible. So hopefully this was helpful. Appreciate everyone listening. If you could leave a review, whether it's a 1 star or 5 star, leave it. Any feedback, if you want to come on the show, please let me know. It seems like this is kind of a busy time of year once summer's over and it's a little bit tougher booking guests. That's great because I really enjoy these one on basically none. It's me talking to my camera. I enjoy these conversations with myself. Hopefully they're as beneficial to you guys as they are to me. But again, please share if you find any inspiration in my videos and my podcast, and please review. And again, thanks for listening.
Thanks for following, subscribing, and listening to this episode of the Do More podcast hosted by John Farling. To learn more or ask questions, go to l4investing.com.